Welcome to Elroy Productions podcast, where we get the opportunity to share God's redemption in every story. This is my friend Chris. I'm lucky to have him here with me today. I would love to hear a little bit about your story, and I'm sure everyone's really eager to hear it. I'd love to start out with where you were before and kind of roll into how you met God and, where you are now.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for having me. First of all, excited to be here. Super blessed. So it all started out, I grew up in Wenatchee. I was born in Auburn, Washington, a small town, but my dad was a carpenter. We always moved around wherever there was work. So I moved to Wenatchee. My dad wasn't around much, but he was a good provider. How we want, but basically my mom raised me. And I was really concerned about what people thought about me ever since I was a little kid. I remember getting Jordan 1s in Kmart. That's where they first sold Jordans, right? Kind of dated myself a little bit here, but I just remember kicking and screaming until I got those because I cared about what other people thought about me, and just kind of grew up that way through high school, through junior high, through all my schooling, and then I'll never forget when my heart got hardened. I was 15 years old. My mom and dad were they weren't getting a divorce, but they were separating, and my dad was moving out. So something was going on. My sister and myself weren't really aware. But my mom, I was pissed off that they were splitting up. And my mom said, "Why do you even care? He's not your real dad."
Whoa.
And right at that very moment, it was like this, just like, I don't know how to explain it. It was just like, I felt like everything I knew in life was a lie. Like everything I trusted and thought was true was false.
Right, wow.
And it just crushed me. I'll never forget running down my hallway, punching a hole through the wall, and then just pushing my door, jump on my bed and just laying there sobbing. And he ended up moving back in, but from that moment on, he wasn't my dad.
Yeah, wow.
And he would tell me like, "Hey, come home by a certain time." And I was like, "You can't tell me what to do, bro. You're not my dad." Right?
Yeah.
We were raised Lutheran, so we were forced to go to church. And one of the things about the Lutheran religion or faith is that once you get confirmed, you're then an adult of the church, right? I couldn't wait to get confirmed because they said once you're an adult, then you can choose whether or not you want to go. And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to get confirmed and I'm not going to go. I'd rather be skiing." So that's what I did. I got confirmed and I never went back. I mean, I would go on Christmas and Easter with my mom, but other than that, I hated church. It was boring. It was rules. It was like telling me what to do, and nobody's going to tell me what to do. So then I started hanging out with my buddies in Wenatchee, started hanging out with the Hispanic people, and this was like early 90s, 91, 92, 93, and this is when gangster rap was exploding. Like CDs, like I remember waiting in line at the Camelot music store at the mall, waiting for the Snoop Dogg Doggy Style CD to come out, because those guys were our heroes. Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and I'm just this white kid from Wenatchee,
right? And
all we wanted to do was be gangsters, right? And so we're hanging out with the Hispanic guys, we're selling weed, we're smoking weed, and I just kind of lived that life for a long time. And one night, I was living in a party house, and I came home. And to discover that all of my weed was missing and all of my money was missing.
Whoa.
And if you know anything about dealing drugs, typically drugs get fronted to you.
Yep.
And so you owe, and then you go sell them, and you pay them back, and you make more, you constantly re-upping, the whole thing. And so I was kind of scared because I owed this guy a lot of money. I had no way to pay him. Some of my buddies came over from Yakima, and they're like, "Hey, we got this coke. You could help us sell this coke, and we can make some money, help you get out of debt." End up doing more coke than I sold. Got into more debt, right? Yep. And just staying up. I think I'd been up for like 4 or 5 days. And one night I came up upstairs in the house, and all the guys were in the room. They were talking about something. As soon as I came in, they're like, "Shh." I said, "What are you guys talking about?" "Nothing, man. Has nothing to do with you. Don't worry about it." I'm like, "Come on, man. Tell me what's going on." I wanted to know. So finally they told me they were planning a robbery. And I was like, "Oh, this is a perfect solution. All right, we're going to rob this store. We're going to get all this money. I could pay off my debt and everything would be good. I was going to rob my roommate, take all the stuff, move to Seattle, and then I was really going to start rolling, right? So the plan was to, these people worked at the store, and it was the day after Valentine's Day, and so they were going to have all this money, and they were going to come drop it off at this bank, put in this bank deposit thing. And so there was 3 of us, so I was going to run up with the pepper spray. The second guy was going to grab the bag, and the third guy was just going to knock out any heroes. Right, so we're sitting outside this bank for like 2 days, and nobody comes, both nights. And they're like, well, I wonder why. Usually they came, last time they came at this time. I'm like, last time? You guys already tried to do this before? They're like, oh yeah. I was like, they're not going to come back to the same bank, man. They're not just going to continually get robbed. Like, so I'm like, hey, forget this. Let's go to the store. And we'll just wait for the person to come out of the store. So we go to this place on foot, wearing all black. I got a ski mask with the 3 holes, and I got a white Jason hockey mask.
Oh, no.
Double masked, right? Nobody's going to know who it is. So we're sitting there on the curb in this parking lot, hiding behind parked cars. And the thing about when the mall closes is all the people come and get in their cars and leave. Yeah. So these people are coming to get in their cars, moms with families, and they're coming to get in the car. We're hiding behind. So it was like, take off the mask. 2 Mexican guys sitting here on the curb, dressed all in black, like totally not suspicious, right?
Nonchalant.
Been up for 5 days, remember? So it's like, we were not thinking. All I could think about was, I need that money. I need that money. I need that money. Finally, a girl comes out of the store, and they told me it was a dude. I was like, dude, he said it was a guy. Like, that's a girl. Oh, I don't know. And I was like, I can't pepper spray a girl.
Whoa.
Right, but all I kept thinking about, echoing in my head, was, you need the money, you need the money. So she's getting closer to her car. You know, she gets in her car, she leaves. It's like, you can do it.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of, let's go. Let's do it. Pulled out both my masks, ran across the parking lot, opened the car door. She'd already had the car running. She sees me, starts screaming. I hit her with the mace. The money bag is on the passenger side floorboard. So I'm reaching across this girl who's screaming. Her foot's on the gas pedal in a parked car. You know what that sounds like?
Yeah.
Sounds like the car's gonna blow up.
Yeah. Red lining.
Yeah. She's scratching me, clawing me. I'm trying to reach for the bag. She pokes me in the eye, pulls off the Jason mask. I come out of the car, I'm coughing. I look across the parking lot, and my homeboys are already like a block away.
Oh.
So I get scared and I run. Catch up to him, push him down in the snow. Like, why'd you leave me? We're supposed to... Pissed off, didn't get any money, sprayed this, like, oh my goodness. So we walk home. And in Wenatchee, there's a walking bridge. You walk over the walking bridge.
Yeah, I know where that is.
And some guy followed us from the mall. So they called the police. And as soon as we came out of this, it's like a big fenced thing for this bridge, goes over the Columbia River, and opens the fence at the bottom.
Yep.
And as soon as we walked out of that opening, flashlights everywhere, cop cars, sirens, lights. 2 cops tackled my Mexican friends on the ground. I'm standing there looking at a cop on top of this guy, a cop on top of this guy, on both sides of me, and I'm just like, oh shoot, we're screwed. And I slowly get down. So now I'm in jail. I'm in the Chelan County Jail. I'm 19 years old. Now I believed in God. I didn't know nothing about Jesus, but I knew there was a God, like there's somebody up there, right? And I kept having the same dream, bro. Every night I'll fall asleep. And as soon as I fall asleep, I'm pulling down the mask. I'm running across the parking lot. Open the door, scream, spray, scratch. Look, my friends start chasing after him. Wake up. I have this dream 4, 5, 6 times a night. Every time I fall asleep, same dream.
It's powerful, man.
Wake up super cold, sweaty, probably going through withdrawals, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't know that.
100%.
Right? I thought God was pissed at me. He's never going to let me forget what I did. And so I'm going to dream this dream for the rest of my life. I'll never sleep peacefully. paper comes, my name's in the paper, 3 days in a row. Bail raised on robbery suspects. You know Wenatchee, bro.
Yeah.
Small town, right?
Word goes out so fast, you can't ever get it back.
So my name's in the paper, and that makes me think everybody who loves me hates me. My mom hates me. My girlfriend hates me. She was friends with that girl. My sister was friends with that girl, my younger sister. Everybody in town hates me. My family's embarrassed about me. They don't want nothing to do with me. And God's never going to let me sleep. What would you do, bro, if God was never going to let you sleep and everybody who loved you hated you?
You're thinking about any option, basically anything else I could possibly do to get rid of it.
Yeah, get rid of my life.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm standing there like this, leaning on the handrail of the top tier in tank. I think it was 2A. It was either 2A or 2C. And I'll explain why I know about the tanks in a little while.
Yeah.
But I remember just standing there staring down at the cement. I'm just gonna jump off the tier. I'm gonna miss the picnic table. I'll put my hands behind my back and I'll just, dive my head into the concrete and it'll just break my neck and I don't have to deal with these dreams no more or nothing, right? And I don't know how long I was standing there thinking these things, getting the guts to do it, but all of a sudden, the guys in the tank are like, "Hey man, what's wrong with you, stupid? Can't hear us?" I was like, "What? We've been calling your name, man. What's wrong with you?" "What?" I go down there, and the officer was calling my name, and one of the deputies at the jail was a member of our church.
Whoa.
The church I hated going to. And somehow they got a visit with my pastor from our church. And he said, "Hey man, everybody loves you. Everybody makes mistakes. Like, we're going to walk through this together and you're going to be fine." I was like, "Yeah, I keep having these dreams though, man. God's letting me sleep again." He's like, "Well, I want you to meet with the chaplain here in jail, Chaplain Ray, and he's going to help you." So I meet with Chaplain Ray, and this dude was a weirdo, man. He looks, think Santa Claus on crack, right? Like, super skinny guy, but like Santa Claus beard.
Whoa. Okay.
Right? Long beard, white, right? And he's holding my hands and he's like yelling, and we're sitting close like this.
Yeah.
"Holy Spirit, come on down and fill him up. Take away these dreams, fill him up." I'm like,
What's happening?
this dude's a weirdo, right? Like, who is this guy? But I felt something
Wow.
I never felt before. It kind of felt like taking a hit of drugs, like just a rushy drug, like, I don't know, drug, like a rushy drug. Not 100%. Like weed, but like something just like,
Some Molly.
Yeah, yeah. And that night the dream stopped.
Wow.
And so I was like, dang, you listen to him. God's real. So I started reading the Bible and stuff, and it was super weird. People live until they're 900. These 1-2 chicks get their dad drunk so they can get pregnant by their dad. I'm like, what the? This is weird, right? So I didn't really get the Bible that much. And I started going to church when I went to prison. Got sentenced to 2 years, went to prison, and started going to church in prison. And then the guys I was lifting weights with, they're like, "Hey man, you can't go to church in prison." I was like, "Why not?" Well, because that's where all the weirdos hang out. That's where the child molesters hang out, the rapists, all those people hang out. And this is back in the day. This is 1997, 98. This is when prisons didn't have separate prisons for those type of offenders, right?
Yeah.
They walked the line with us. So they said, if you hang out in that church, people are going to think that you're one of those guys. And you can't hang out with us if people think you're one of those guys.
Yeah.
We're cool with you, having your faith, read your Bible, whatever, but just do it in your house. Do it in your cell. I was like, okay. So I started doing it in my cell. And every once in a while, they'd have a speaker come in. I would go to those. It was a little different once in a while,
Yeah.
And these people came in from some local church or whatever. They were singing and worshiping, but they had these pamphlets. And I read this one pamphlet, and it said the power of prayer. It says, don't pray all the time. Don't ask God to pray over and over and over and over and over. It's like a little kid, keep asking. Just ask him and trust that he heard you, answer your prayer, right? And I was praying for my grandpa because my grandpa had cancer. And I didn't want my grandpa to think that I was some criminal grandson. I wanted to get out and show him that I was a good kid and stuff. So I was praying for my grandpa not to die. And then like a month later, he died. And at that point, I was like, this God stuff isn't real. He's not answering my prayers, you know? So I decided to be my own God. So, I mean, I could go on and on about how being my own God, where it took me. I got out of prison. I moved to back to town, or I was in Spokane. No, I went to Spokane, and there was a guy there, and I wasn't going to do drugs again, right? Because that's why I was on drugs. And I thought, man, I do this crank, and it's going to make me a monster and spray girls with pepper spray. I'm not never doing that stuff again. And they sent me to rehab. I went to rehab, and they told me I had a disease. I'm like, I have a disease, bro. I'm 19 years old. I'm about to go to prison for 2 years. I'm going to get out when I'm 21, 22. Trust me, I'm going to the club. You know, I'm not got a disease. I got a problem with meth.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be drinking. Trust me. Like, that's not going to be a problem. So as soon as they get out, you know, I get out of prison, and first place we go is to a bar. I order my first drink, go to my friend's house, and he's like, hey guys, this is his first day out of prison. They get me super stoned, right? Just, you know, one thing leads to another, right? And I remember the first time I did meth again. I was with my buddy Kelly, and he was in the work release. I was out in Spokane, and he's like, hey, you want to go out to the club? I was like, yeah, sure. You know, local guy, knows the scene, whatever. And he's like, hey, you want to feel like $1 million? I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you want to feel like $1 million? I was like, bro, what do you mean? So I got some pretty good crank. I was like, oh, no, I can't do that stuff, right? And I felt like I was on the other end of a telemarketing phone call with like a 3-no program, right? Because he's like, hey, don't worry, I'll keep an eye on you. You know, you won't turn into a monster. I'm like, bro, you know, I can't really afford it. I'm trying to save up for a car. Don't worry, I'll sell it. It's free. I was like, I don't know, man. I gotta work tomorrow. I gotta get up. He said, don't worry, I'll help you out with that too.
I'll go to work for you.
Yeah, something. Yeah, I probably said something like that, right? I'm like, so I finally said yes. Right. Next thing I know, I lose my job, full-time drug dealing again. And I was just kind of like his bodyguard, right? I mean, our dude, I've never seen so many drugs in my whole life, but the guy that we used to get our dope from was one step down from the cook. Whoa. We used to get like these like bread loaves of crank. We used to be like, chunk, chunk, here you go, here's your, and I was like, this is crazy. Yeah. And one time he let us, we're like, hey, can we take the gun? Can we borrow the gun? Yeah, sure. So we'd run around selling drugs, and my job was just to like scare people. Yeah. Not that I'm scary at all or anything, but
you're a big dude.
I would just walk into houses, pull out the gun, set it on the table, and just sit there and look like I was pissed off. He would go in the back room and, you know, do his thing. Then we'd go to another place, and we did this, right? And one night we got pulled over, and he had to suspend a license.
Oh no!
Right? So they start searching the car, and they find dope under his seat. And they're like, hey, we want to search you, and I'm strapped. And I was like, hey man, I'm a passenger. I don't know who this dude is. He would just give me a ride home from a party. I got work tomorrow. Can you guys just give me a ride home real quick? No, we need to search you. You're in this car with this guy, and we found some drugs. So I'm like, hey man, I know the laws. Like, I have my seatbelt on. I don't know who this guy is. Where'd you find the drugs? Under his seat or mine? His, right? So it's not, it has nothing to do with me. And they're like, hey, well, why don't you just empty your pockets? And if you don't have anything, we'll let you go. I was okay. I'll empty my pockets. And I have a little film canister full of like prescription drugs for my head cold. Got it from his girlfriend and stuff. She's a little pharmacist or whatever. And the cop takes it and goes back. What's this? I'm like, this is cough medicine, man. I'm sick. Can't you tell? You know? Goes into the car. I'm standing there. It's raining. And I got a gun on my waist. Now there's another cop there with a dog. They're searching the car and stuff. I'm standing in front of this cop car. They're inside of it. Just like,
Yeah.
Just stressing.
Just waiting.
Right? Yeah. Been up for days, same thing, right? And comes out of the cop car. Hey, Mr. Newberger, you're under arrest for possession of a prescription drug without a prescription. I'm like, this is so shady. This is a total illegal search and seizure, buddy. Watch out for the gun on my waist. Right? And then they start tripping out,
Yeah.
So I go to jail for that, get 3 years in the feds. Yeah, it's crazy. So I go to the feds, and this is where I find my next new drug. I feel like the things in my life that change me are what I worship. And then those things is what the things you worship are the things you talk about. I mean, now I worship Jesus, so I'm talking about Jesus. When I first started smoking weed, it made me to this new guy. I was like funny. I could talk to any girls. I had no fear.
Like, you ever smoked weed?
I worship weed, right?
Yeah.
Then drugs were powerful, And then when I went to prison, second to last time, I've been 3 times to prison. The middle time, I went to the feds for 33 months, and started lifting weights. And took a personal training program and just probably gained like 60 pounds. And just came out of there just jacked, ready to go, right? And moved to Seattle, started working in gyms, and that was like my new drug. Was me, my image, because it changes the way. Like, I went from like skinny guy to like just very fit.
Yeah.
Girls look at you different. People look at you different. This new level of confidence. So now I wanted to sell training. That was my new god, was fitness, vanity, right? And I became very good at it. I started out as a trainer. My boss said, hey, if you want to make some real money, show all the other trainers how to be a good trainer, and then I'll make you the manager, and then I'll pay you on the club. Okay. Did that, doing really well. He's like, okay, now find one of your trainers that can do what you're doing, and I'll put you at a different club. And I did that slowly but surely over 9 years, and by the end of that 9 years, I was VP of production for 6 gyms.
Whoa.
I would get a paycheck for $4,000 or $5,000 every 2 weeks.
Whoa.
In January, February, it was more like $7,000 or $8,000. And I was rolling.
Yeah.
Right. Me and the owner got into a fight one day. I went back to construction. Those guys were smoking weed. Now I started doing drugs again, started selling drugs again, and slowly but surely ended up back in prison. And I always tell people the trippiest drug I've ever done is the drug of power. Like, I really wasn't too much of a drug. I mean, I was a drug addict. I am a drug addict. But there was more of a rush on holding a bag of dope and walking into a room full of people that were addicted to that bag of dope, and I was the one holding it.
It's the power.
I was their God. I was God. Right? It was kind of the same thing with that personal training world. When you're the VP of production and you oversee 6 gyms, like when I walk into the club, people are tucking in their shirts. Oh, shoot, Chris is here.
Yeah, cool.
So, yeah. Went back to prison, OCC, state prison in Forks, minimum custody. I don't know how that happened. I've never been in minimum custody. Got to fight a forest fire, run around the woods all day, chopping down trees and stuff. It was only 22 months, so it wasn't that bad.
It's better than what you did before, though.
Yeah. But my total amount of prison is climbing up. Now that's my 7th and 8th year being in prison. Total, right? 8 years total. So it's kind of getting old.
Yeah.
And I remember one day sitting in the chow hall. We worked in the chow hall. And so you have to sit in there and you have to wait for count to clear. Right, so you're locked in the chow hall and then you have to count the whole prison. So you're just sitting there, you're bored. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking around and there's all these old dudes. And all these old dudes are saying the same stories. And it's just getting out, getting high, going back, getting out, getting high, going back. And it's just like, dang, if I don't change what I'm doing, I'm gonna be an old dude in prison like these guys. It's just a reality check. My sister got married. I missed my sister's wedding. A lot of things in my life were passing me by. And I hated that. Right?
Yeah. Wow.
So I got out, started personal training again, doing great, making money, doing good, nothing about God, right? And then the things just went downhill real fast with the drugs. It always kind of progressed. And one thing I like to share is that if there's anybody who's struggling with addiction or alcoholism or any type of substance abuse, it's like, it's either all or nothing. You know what I mean? And it's like, it doesn't, it just progresses for me personally. Like, I would get out of prison, I'd be sober for the amount of time I was in prison, and then I would have probation, and I don't want to go back, so I was always sober for that amount of probation.
You could be a good student, you know? You could just be a good student, and what you had to do, you did it.
Yeah.
To stay sober. And as soon as you get back, you're like, well, I don't have to be a good student anymore.
As soon as they took off the guardrails, it's party time, right? But I remember the last time, you know, I have this girlfriend, and she's like, you know, and I've been to lots of treatment centers, 5 treatment centers and meetings and all that stuff. Used to live in Oxford houses, ran, you know, house president, chapter chair, all that stuff. Like I knew recovery. I know recovery, right? And it wasn't working, right? I mean, it was putting me around more of those people. So anyways, I get this girlfriend. She's like, let's just have a glass of wine with dinner. It's like, I can have a glass of wine, no big deal. It's not, you know, I'm not slamming some meth right now, no big deal. Have a glass of wine, nothing happens, get promoted at work, things are going good. Then her dad comes over and he's like, watching the Seahawk game. You want to smoke a joint, watch the Seahawk game? I was like, that's a drug. Probably shouldn't be doing drugs, you know, but it's her dad. I got to bond with the dad, you know. This is his daughter. I got to connect with them.
Right.
Let's do it this one time, right? No big deal.
Just once.
Smoke the weed, you know, with the joint, watch the game, no big deal. It was kind of fun. Started smoking every day. Started smoking when I wake up, before I work out, after I work out. Like, things are going good, though. I'm holding it together, getting promoted. Manager of a club now. You know, things are going great. And then we break up. Now I'm single. Now I'm going to the clubs, still smoking, drinking a little. See another girl. Want to come back to my place? Model type, you know. I'm like,
dangerous.
Sure, yeah, let's go. Pulls out a needle. Want to do a fat whap? I'm like, probably shouldn't do this fat whap. But she's model type, and it's going to be a fun night. We're both, it's going to be like, you know.
Just once.
Make a little movie. Just do it this once time, you know. And then, you know, before I know it, like, I'm sitting in a storage unit that I'm living in. Like, I had a storage unit down by Soto, across from the Quest Field. I don't know if it's called Quest Field anymore, but it was right across the street. It was underneath these studio lofts in the basement. And I had 2 storage units. Cut a hole in the wall. I had a 2-bedroom storage unit, brother.
Whoa.
Paying $150 a month.
Smart.
You know, I had TV, found a little plug-in, you know, total tweaker status.
Yeah.
Ran a cord from some outlet somewhere. Had TV, little microwave, like little kitchen area. You know, I was like, yeah, I was balling.
Pretty awesome, man.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I remember the one time this guy came over and I was trying to get a new mattress or something, and he's like, hey, can we get high? I was like, no, dude, I've been up for a long time. Like, I don't got any dope. Like, we can rinse these baggies real quick if you want. Rinse these baggies, and you know, that'll be good. You got like 30 baggies. And but you got to help me move this bed, and you got to give me some water. So he leaves. He's gone for a while. I'm like, where's this dude at? And then all of a sudden, this dude comes into my storage unit. I don't know who this dude is. Some regular guy. It's like, looks in, like, what the? Are you living in here? I'm calling the cops. Walks. I'm like, oh, dude. I mean, I'm sitting there in the storage unit. And I got like 30 baggies, syringes, scales, you know, all this stuff. Right? I'm just ready to rock.
Yeah.
So I go run out and catch this guy. I'm like, hey, man, I'll move out. You can keep my money. Like, I just don't call the cops, man. Please don't call the cops. Like, I'll be out today.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll check. So I just went around the storage unit, found a different one, moved all my stuff to that one, set up shop there. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's smart.
One day I got locked out, and I'm sitting outside, and I was about to rob this place. I had all these bags, and this girl wouldn't give me a ride, so I'm just sitting there stuck with all these bags. She was supposed to take me to these condos. I knew how to get in on the roof because I do graffiti.
Yeah.
I was going to go in this, you know, anyways. And I'm sitting there, and the sheriff pulls up. You know, what are you doing here? I'm like, whatever I want. What are you doing here? Oh, you're trespassing. I'm like, nah, man, that's my storage unit right there. I just got locked out. I'm waiting for my key. No, I'm sorry, you're trespassing. What's your name? My name? Mickey Mouse, punk. What's your name? Let me talk to your supervisor. Leave me alone, you know? And so they go to arrest me, and he's got me, and there's one big cop and one like little skinny guy. And the big guy's got me, and he pushes me on the car, and he has one of my hands behind my back. Mm-hmm. And I hear him take one hand off to grab his keys, and I do spin move. And I break away, and I start running. And I'm running so fast, like, you know when you're running so fast, you start to fall forward?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I did. And I fell, and I tripped.
Oh.
And I'm trying to get up and crawl away, and they tase me.
Ooh.
I'm on the ground already.
Yeah.
Tase me, comes up, starts beating the snot out of me. I go to jail, and the guy's like, dang, did you get beat up by a dog or something? Because, like, the right side of my face was all bruised, and the left side of my face was all cut up.
Whoa.
Because I was on the ground, and he was just pummeling me, and this side was just hitting the cement, and this side was just getting the fist. I mean, I had to go to Harborview, MRI, lost a couple teeth.
Whoa.
Like, it was gnarly. Judge let me out, told me if I was good, I'd be fine, you know, go to treatment or whatever. Wasn't going to do that. Moved back to Wenatchee for a minute, got in a fight with my mom's husband. They kicked me out, came back to Seattle, started living on the streets, and just lived a life that was not fun, bro. I mean, just getting high. And I can go on and on about these stories, and it gets really, really dark where you just do anything for drugs.
Yep.
And then one night, we were living in these hotels, and just kind of towards the end, you know, and I'm going to walk out to the hotel to get into this stolen car, and these officers come up. Hey, Mr. Newberger, how's it going? Can we talk to you for a second? I'm like, who's Mr. Newberger? What are you talking about? My name's Aaron. We know who you are. We've been sitting outside your hotel for 3 days. I was like, okay, you know, and yeah, and it was kind of crazy because I was like kind of relieved, you know?
Yeah.
Like I was like excited and happy thinking about going and laying on a bed in jail and having food being brought to me and just being able to rest.
And just do nothing.
Just sick of like just running and gunning and hiding and dodging and weaving and just all this stuff. And I was happy to be arrested. Right? And went to prison that was when I went to OCC. Got out, was doing good, and the whole wine thing with the girl stuff, that ended up being my girlfriend for a while, right? And then kind of some DV stuff, like I would try to get away from her. My sister told me if I ever got on drugs again, she wouldn't let me be an uncle to my niece and my nephew, which was a big deal to me. And so I was like, I gotta quit getting high. My sister's gonna take away my niece and nephew. So I'd tell her, I gotta go get sober. Like, you can't leave me. And she'd like hit herself with a drill. And then she'd call the police and tell them I was beating her up. And so I would, you know, as soon as she called them, I'd run outside, go hide across the street, right? Cops would come, cops would leave, call her, hey, babe, good? I'm sorry, babe, I'm sorry. Go back, everything's great, you know, working up again. A couple weeks ago later, got to get into an argument about money or something. I got to get away from this drugs. I'm leaving again, you know, we can't get high. Overdose one time with her, you know, just lots of stuff. And anyways, like the third or fourth time she called the cops, I'm like, you know what, call the cops. I ain't done nothing wrong with you. If I would have beat you up, there would be some evidence.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
Cops came, they didn't believe me, they believed her. I went to jail, you know.
As it is.
And so anyways, I went to jail, got out, did my own thing for a while. We tried to make it work again, didn't work. Called the cops again, took me again. Violation of contact order, got sentenced to 40 days. Did 30 days on that. I started in downtown King County. On my last 10 days, they shipped me to RJC, which is super weird. Because I was usually maxed out because I got into a lot of fights in King County, so they always put me on 11. So for my last 10 days, it was weird that they transferred me. They saw I was bed space or whatever. I was just pissed because I had to take a bus from Kent back to Seattle now.
Right? Not fun.
My mom comes to visit me down there. She's crying. I'm 39 years old. So the first time I got arrested, I was 19. This last time I was 39. She come to visit me. I don't have a dime to my name. She's crying. I'm like, what kind of 40-year-old makes his mom cry? Like, I should be having a family. I should be taking care of people. And I should be having my mom come visit me and give me money. Loser, right? There was a guy in that jail with tattoos all over his face. Crazy dude, just got sentenced to 27 years. Hey man, you want to do Bible study with us? I was like, sure, bro.
You gonna kill me? Or?
Yeah, we got to check your paperwork first. I'm like, that's fine, whatever. And so we started doing the Bible study. He's just reading the Daily Bread with a couple other dudes, but it was cool.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, you should meet with the chaplain here at the jail. He can get you housing, he can get you food stamps, he can get you clothes, whatever you need. I was like, that's great. I need all that stuff, right? So I go to meet with this chaplain, and he's talking to me about Jesus. I was like, oh man, what about the clothes? What about the food? What about that stuff? Like, can you get that stuff?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, Jesus can get you that stuff, I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? He's like, what's important to you? I was like, money, girls, and drugs. Those are 3 things that are important to me. And if I get one of those things, I can get all the rest. If I get drugs, I can get the other ones. If I can get a girl, I just need one of those 3 things, and I can get everything else, right? I'll be good. He's like, well, those things are of the world. That's not what you need. That's what you want. Jesus will give you the things that you need. And he's like saying these things. He's reading this thing, and he's saying this stuff. And he's like, you want to give your life to Jesus today? And I was like, no, dude, those guys are weirdos. They like do all kind of crazy stuff, rape little kids and murder people and just ask for forgiveness and it's all good. Like, come on, sounds like a scapegoat. They just do whatever they want, these Christians. He's like, no, that's not how it works. He explained to me, Jesus, and he pays the price for you, and you can be forgiven, and you go to heaven, and Jesus will stand there with you. And he just kind of explained Jesus to me like a friend. I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
My mom just came to visit me, and so I'm like, might as well try. I'm like, sure, bro. Sure. What could it hurt? I can't figure out my own. What I got to do? He's like, well, we can say a prayer real quick, and then I'll give you some things to do. So he said the prayer. Didn't feel at that time. Nothing crazy happened. He wasn't yelling or nothing. And he told me to read the Bible. That's when God talks to you. And to pray, and that's when you talk to God. Right? So I started doing that. And that was on December 3rd of 2015. I got out December 10th of 2015. So I read the whole New Testament in that week. I got rid of all my books and just read the New Testament, and the Lord was speaking to me. I moved to Wenatchee, started going to a church. The chaplain guy told me to go to City Church in Seattle because he said, go to City Church. Judah Smith is the preacher. He's really good. You should go see him. So I went to the UW campus a couple of times. Kind of felt weird. There's a lot of kids there. I was older. I was like, So I moved to Wenatchee, and I started looking up churches, and there was a church called Grace City. I was like, oh, it's got the word city in it. Must be the same. I'm going to go there. Right? And so I went there. It was a Sunday. It was playoffs. My first Sunday there was January 3rd of 2016. So I got saved December 3rd, got out of jail December 10th. Lived in Seattle for a little bit, but Sarah, my ex, she kept texting me and asking me to, let's work it out. I was like, no. Moved to Wenatchee on December 27th. Went to Grace City for the first time January 3rd. So 1 month after I'd been saved. And it was Sunday, and the Seahawks were in the playoffs, and there's no way I'm not going to wear my Seahawk jersey on a Sunday nowhere. I don't care where I'm going. If it's your funeral, I'm wearing it. Yep. Right? So we go, and I go by myself, and everybody there is wearing jerseys. Pastor Josh comes out. He's wearing a jersey. He says a prayer for Russell Wilson. Mind you, this is 2016. Okay, so this is before woke stuff, right? So it was cool to be a Seahawks fan back then. Yeah. It's a little different now, but anyways, I was like, this is my spot. and he read the Bible and he explained it, and I learned about it, right? And so I found my spot. And so I just jumped in and surrounded myself by other men. And my life changed.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's crazy, bro. Well, I'm glad you're here today, man. Tell me a little bit more about what you're doing now, kind of where you are with your journey.
So it was kind of a hard thing to learn, how to be a Christian dude, you know, coming from that place of personal trainer, drug dealer, you know, fitness guy.
Yeah.
Right? To be a godly, righteous man. Right? So I needed a lot of help. So I would go, on Sundays, I would go to every service. Like we had 3 services. I was at all 3 services, taking notes, same sermon. I just was soaking it in, learning about Jesus, learning about God, learning about the Bible. And I didn't always do good, right? I remember when I first started going there, they started preaching on a marriage strong, something like that, right? It was all about marriage. I was like, I'm a single guy,
right?
But he said, this is for everybody. It's for married people. This is for single guys, single gals, single guys. You learn about how it's going to look like when you get married. You're going to learn how to be a single dude, what it means to be a godly man. And you're going to learn about godly women, right? Righteous women and what you're looking for in a wife, right? So I was like, I'm going to stay here in Wenatchee, go to the sermon series. Maybe I'll learn about, because I just wanted to have a wife and a family. That's all I wanted. And so I started learning, and they talk about unity, and they're talking about, sex, and like sex is a good gift from God, and He gave it to us, and we're supposed to have it, but it's a hot fire, and it fuels, and marriage is like a fireplace, and it's where the fire is supposed to be. And so if you have sex within a marriage, it's going to heat the whole house. But if you have a fire in the living room, on the floor, outside of the covenant of marriage, outside of the fireplace, it's going to burn down the whole house.
Right. It's true.
Right? And he also said something about like when 2 people become married and have sex, there's like 2 pieces of paper getting glued together, they become one. And when you try to take apart 2 pieces of paper that have been glued together, there's going to be some damage. And bro, I felt like some sawdust. I felt like those telephone poles on Capitol Hill with all the flyers.
Yeah, right.
It's like 3 inches thick of flyers. It's like that. Felt like that. Like, But they talked about redemption and the restoration process of the power of God's grace and His mercy, and you could be made new and renewed. And I was like, okay, right. So a couple weeks later, I'm going back to Seattle, see some friends or whatever. And I'm hearing all this stuff. I'm knowing all these things. And I hang out with 2 of my exes. And I sleep with both of them. And I just learned to not have the fire in the living room. And I told them too, like, go out to dinner, grab a Red Box, go back to the place.
We're not going to sleep together.
Yeah, during dinner, I'm like,
now.
hey man, I'm a man of God now. Like, I'm waiting till I'm married.
Yep.
Get the Red Box, go back to the place. She's taking off her clothes. Are you really going to wait till you're married? I'm like, I was. I was, not anymore. And so I go back to Wenatchee, and bro, I is eating me alive.
Yeah.
And we just happen to have men's groups at this time. And so I'm going to these men's groups, and I'm sitting in this men's group, and I'm like, I got to tell him. Oh, I can't tell him. Got to tell him. Don't tell him. They're going to kick you out. Got to tell him. Don't tell them. They're going to be mad at you. They're going to judge you. And I'm just having this internal like conflict, right? Like, I got to come clean. Oh, I can't come clean. I'm too embarrassed. So finally I come clean right at the end, right?
Yeah.
Hey guys, I got to get some on my chest. It's heavy on me. Can't stop thinking about it. What happened? Oh, I went to Seattle. I slept with these 2 girls. So how do you feel? I'm like, that's not helpful. I feel like crap, like right? I feel dirty. I feel ashamed. I feel guilty. Like, come on.
I'm currently shaking.
Yeah, like you guys are going to kick me out the club. Like, no more church. Right. God's mad. Like, they're like, that's a good thing you feel that way. I'm like, okay, help me out here. And this, like, I tell people, this is one of my like flag in the ground Christian moments. Like they're really kind of one of my anchor points of my faith. What I learned from this experience, and obviously not the sin, but this experience with these guys in this men's group. And the guy said, "How do you feel?" And I was like, "Guilty, ashamed." He's like, "Okay, that's good." I'm like, he's like, "That's the proper response to sin." How would you have felt, 6 or 7 months ago? I was like, and I thought about it. I was like, I would have been like, I'm the man.
Right.
Look at me.
Yeah.
Better not let your girl get my number. Like pride, arrogance. Now it's guilt, shame. He's like, you're being made new. You're changing on your insides. In sin, it looks different to you because God's making you new. All you have to do is ask for forgiveness, bring the stuff to the light,
Right.
and turn away from your sin. Repent, turn away. Don't do it again. And I didn't have sex again until I got married in 2022, 6 years later.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to do.
I mean, I fooled around with a few girls, right?
Yeah. Still a
this
hard
one
thing
girl
to-
was like, "Oh, we could have oral sex, just not regular sex." I'm like, I don't think that's true.
Yeah, you're like, maybe not.
Yeah, that
I don't think that's in the
relationship ended,
Bible.
right?
Show me where that's in the Bible.
Yeah. And so, it was a long road. And I tell guys in the jail, I'm the Chelan County Regional Justice Center lead chaplain. So the jail that I was at when I was 19 years old, where I was going to commit suicide, I now had the keys to, and I go in there and I tell dudes in jail about Jesus.
That's amazing, bro. That's so amazing.
Right? And they wouldn't let me have that job right away.
Well, yeah,
I have quite a bit of a record.
right.
Right.
With good understanding,
Yeah. But God's timing was, he was waiting, because the jail ministry went through some changes. It went from one church to another church, COVID, all this stuff. And then the one church was dropping it. They were asking at our church if we wanted to take it. I wasn't on staff yet. They said they'll take it, but they want me to do it. At that very moment, I had just gotten 5 years from my previous conviction of out of jail time, which is their policy.
Yeah. Wow.
And so, yeah, it's a crazy story. There's actually we did a sermon about it at Grace City, and so that I started doing the jail ministry 3 years ago. In March, it was 3 years, so a little 3.5 years, 3 years, 3 years and 2 months.
That's amazing.
And building up a team, going in there, and then my wife and I, we got married in 2022. We kind of hung out in 2019. Wasn't right. I wasn't ready. She wasn't ready. 2 years later, dated a few girls. She dated a few guys. We got brought back together, and so in 2022, I got married to my beautiful wife Melissa, and we got pregnant with twin boys. So right now I have 18-month-old twin boys, Justice and Jakin, and they're crazy like dad.
They're adorable,
pray
man.
for us. Yeah,
I
they're
feel
adorable.
so lucky to have met them. They're so cute.
Jakin's going on his third window. He gets excited when he sees dogs outside, and he goes,
really?
dog, 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 and he headbutts the window and breaks them. So,
Oh no.
yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah.
Breaks the windows.
So whenever he gets near a window, we kind of get nervous. Hey, Jake, come on down, buddy. Make sure there's no dogs running around. And the church hired me, so now I'm the utility pastor at Grace City Church in Wenatchee, and we're growing like crazy, and it's amazing. And I'm on staff at a church. I'm the lead chaplain at a jail. I'm married with twin boys, and my life is blessed beyond belief. And I tell a lot of guys in the jail, like, show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. I think Andy Stanley, it's a quote by Andy Stanley, but it's so true in life. With anybody in recovery or addiction or whatever, it's like, my friends in the beginning were druggies, I was drugs.
Yeah.
Then my friends were fitness, I was fitness.
Yep.
Then I started hanging out with pastors, now I'm a pastor. And if you don't know God, and you're wondering about your life, God has plans for your life that you can't even believe. I'm telling you. Like, if you would have asked me 10 years ago if I would have the keys to the jail and if I would be a pastor at church, bro, I'm 48. I'm 48. Like, I didn't think I'd have a family.
Yeah.
I kind of gave up. And right when I gave up, that's when God moves.
Yeah.
Right when you start doing it yourself, that's when God moves in powerful ways. It's amazing.
That's crazy, man.
So yeah, man, it's kind of my story.
That's awesome. It's crazy to me to have run into you because obviously my dad kind of set us up, you know. My dad had been going to Grace City Church, you know, since it was Grace Covenant Church, since it was in Kashmir up in a small little area. And I saw that church hop from one place to the next church and, you know, start to grow. And I actually haven't truly been to the new one yet because I haven't been to Wenatchee since I've been saved. But, you know, you guys have an amazing spot down there. You guys have youth ministries, you guys have the jail ministries now, you guys have school there, you know, coffee shop, and, you know, there's so many good things happening down there that it's just super cool that you got to be a part of that. And especially these people's lives that you're impacting now, you know, people with stories, I believe, you know, it's impactful for them to share their story, because if you don't share your story, you know, that's the power of testimony that God wants us to use to impact someone else's life. You know, you're going to be able to relate with people I can't. I'm going to be able to relate with people you can't, you know, and if we all individually pick up our stories and just share, you know, it's not about, you know, reaching millions. It's not about reaching hundreds of people. It's about reaching that one person, right? And obviously it's going to be great to reach more than just one person. You know, we want to be able to share God's testimony over and over and over again. But at the end of the day, that one person's all that matters. You know, I told my sister the other day, and her biggest thing was, you know, I feel like I'm not able to reach, you know, a bunch of people, but I said, you get to reach your family. You know, you have 6 kids you get to reach. You have a husband that you get to reach, and he is the head of the household, and he can do a bunch more reaching too. But I was like, your family's the most important for now, because regardless of how many people outside of your box you reach, it's the family that you get to literally take from the bottom, which you get to do now, which is so exciting, you know, especially with 2 twin boys. You get to take them, you get to mold them into the men that they're going to be for the rest of their life. You know, so that's super awesome, man. I'm super glad to have been able to sit down with you. Thanks for coming out all the way from Wenatchee.
Beautiful drive, beautiful day. Love Monroe.
Right.
Or love Seattle. Whatever.
Cool, man. This is my friend Chris, guys. I'm glad you guys got to watch. Welcome to the Elroy Production Podcast.